everybody. Welcome to the session. We'll be talking about creating sustainable change in your hotel. My name is Ajay Kapur. I'm from Hotelschool The Hague and I have a few lovely guests here. We'll have a conversation for about 45 minutes.
Dichtbij, hè? Close.
Close up, yes, thank you. Thank you for the tip. And but I'll start off, one thing, you can have questions and I'll ask you to keep until the end and we'll have some time for that as well. Yeah? I'll start off with actually asking you to introduce yourself shortly. May I start with Melle?
Sure. My name is Melle Schellekens and I'm one of the founders of the Good Roll and we're world's most sustainable toilet paper.
Okay, just checking with the sound, is that okay? Did everybody hear that?
Hard genoeg.
Okay, good, good. Thank you. Thank you, Melle. Froukje Anne.
Yes, I'm Froukje Anne Karsten. I'm sustainability advisor for the municipality of Amsterdam, and I'm coordinator of the frontrunner group of circular hotels in Amsterdam.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Good. Thank you, Froukje Anne. Nico.
Hi, my name is Nico Evers. I'm general manager of the greenest hotel of the Netherlands. Anybody familiar which hotel that is? Hotel Jakarta on Java Island, and also member of your
frontrunner group.
Frontrunner
Yes.
group.
Good. Thank you, Nico. Now, talking about the frontrunner group, maybe Froukje Anne, could you explain shortly what the frontrunner group is and how you look at circularity? We have a slide for you as well that we will show. Could you show that? Thank you. And it's on the slide there as well. Please go ahead.
So I'm working for the municipality of Amsterdam, and we have really ambitious goals. Like in 2050, we want to become fully circular. So that's quite ambitious, and we realize that we have to do it. We need everybody in the city to take part of that, and that we just are in the beginning of a transition towards circular economy. And for that, I invited some hotels to join me and to think about what is it, how can the hotels be part of the change that is needed to accelerate the circular economy. And we started in 2017 and we're still alive and kicking, luckily, and growing. And one of the things is we all realize is that we have to think about change, about thinking different about how you use your resources, how you manage your waste. One of the things is, for example, that in the beginning we were really focusing on recycling, about what do you do with your waste if you have it. But if you can see on the slides, that's just one of the circular strategies that is possible, and that it's standing really low on this list, this air ladder, because recycling is not really circular. It's not about closing the loop, and that is what you want in the end. That you close the loop, and that the materials you have, that it can be reused endlessly. So we are together. We are growing to think about a more fundamental way, and that's and we try to use those R's about reusing, about using the materials you buy and use on a different way, so that in the end we stop taking more, make waste, or make dispose, not just that, but that we really use not more than what is available as resources. Okay. And that's the adventure we are together.
Yes, and so you're taking this together with several hotels in Amsterdam.
Yes.
Nico, I think your hotel is also part of that.
Yeah, we are a member. We are because we want to inspire and we want to be inspired to give this planet on to the next generation. To give you a small insight about the Hotel Jakarta, we were competing in a contest to win that plot on the Java island to build such a beautiful hotel. And one of the requirements from the municipality had to do with sustainability. And we had to be very sustainable. So we took a lot of sustainability measures, and we wanted to that was always in cooperation with guest comfort. Because that's important. We are here to treat, we are running hotels to treat guests and to give a home away from home, and we want them to be comfortable. And together with the frontrunners group, we look at even more possibilities to make that happen in our industry. And it's, I can say it's. My wife said this morning, did you think about it? Think back 10 years ago. You had any idea that you were speaking in front of an audience with regards about sustainability? I said no. I thought at that time I thought that will never happen. But it's actually very nice. It's even we think it's sustainability can be sexy as well.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting setting. Sustainability can be sexy as well. I think that's a good one to go to Melle, because you talk about the good role, and I think you also use the word sexy sometimes.
Yeah, we use the word eco-sexy.
Eco-sexy,
So in terms, we're very sustainable as a company, but our most important reason is that we want to be very socially sustainable. We have one of the biggest workplaces, social workplaces in Amsterdam, and apart with 50% of our net profits, we build toilets in developing countries. So for instance, we have our own foundation in Africa. I'm actually there myself every 5-6 weeks. So we're actually the first direct impact product at this time in hospitality and B2B, in which we show the end consumer what their impact is with something as easy as toilet paper.
Yeah, and like you said, something as easy as toilet paper. It's sometimes hard to imagine, but it really helps hotels to also impact or show their impact to their guests as well, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do there?
We started 3 years ago. One of our strategies was that after 3 years we want to go into the B2B market. At this point we are the biggest web shop in Europe for toilet paper. Yeah, it really exists. It's strange, but we offer toilet paper to over 100,000 families in Europe. So at a daily base I think we sell about 5,000 boxes. We ship it straight to your home. And we started with this process in marketing, and at the end we want to develop it into hospitality because we tested the market and what our consumers wanted to see, and we developed an impact meter. And the impact meter is directly for the consumer at home, but for instance also hotel. We work with Student Hotel, we work with Hilton, we work with Bilderberg, we work with a couple of very awesome hotel groups. And we gave them a direct impact meter. So in the toilets we have a QR code. Guests scan the QR code and they see the direct impact they made by using the good roll at that time, by sitting on the toilet. And every time they flush, the meter go up.
Okay.
So a couple hotels actually have that impact meter straight on their website. And it's a very nice tool because the QR code is a site that we developed for the hotels. And on that site they can do a lot of promotions, late checkout, direct buy. So it's a new way of marketing your customer in a green way, which is very cool and it works very well.
Well, good to hear. And also maybe looking at Nico, some examples of what you do with your guests to actually show that you're green, obviously in an authentic way. Could you have 1 or 2 examples?
Yeah, we have a beautiful inner garden. It's like a greenhouse. So if guests immediately see and experience that it's a very environmental friendly surrounding. We use all the materials we use is recycled or recyclable. We use a lot of bamboo, a lot of wood, and everywhere in the building people can, by scanning a QR code, by having a look on the website, they can inspire themselves what we do. But it's so if they don't want to get involved in the whole environmental issue, they can decide not to scan those codes, but they can be involved as well. And we treat our staff to explain, and it works very nice.
Okay, and you were also just talking about the comfort for guests and how that is important. And I can imagine that there might be a kind of balance between comfort, price, and how sustainable You are, right? How do you find that balance with your guests?
Yeah, we just started, and we said, well, we invested 50 million euros, and of course we have to earn that back. We have to have a certain return on investment, and we started on a certain level with our pricing, feeling that this was the right price for the right product to sell, and we experienced that guests enjoy that, and that they like to pay even a little bit more, a little bit higher rate than they do in another environment. And that's also because of our location in the River Aj, water, view over the water everywhere, and that works of course very well too.
Of course, I can imagine the location helps as well. And in that process of trying to figure out the right balance, have you also come to points where you thought, oh, this does not work? Maybe you can share one or two of those.
No, our biggest challenge is our suppliers, because they have to get used to deliver in a sustainable way. That's a big challenge, and also how to work together with our employees. And also with our guests, the guests themselves, because we want them to be more sustainable too.
Yeah, no, of course. Good point you mentioned about the suppliers. The suppliers play a big role as well, of course, into the whole sustainability change. Froukje Anne, I remember you have an example of linen that you would like to share, right?
Yes, because when you think about circularity and hotels, the first thing I think about is about the hotel linen, of course, because that's typical for hotels, and it's big issue, of course, big stream. So, but when you look at it closely, hotel linen, how circular is that? The amount is huge, but what is happening at the end of it when when you dispose of it? Do you know that? And I am afraid that most of it is still part of the linear economy, and that it's not transparent what is happening with it, who owns it, how is it produced, what's in it. So now with the Frontrunner Group, we are deepening in this issue in making it more transparent and to enable hotels to go within their own chain, just with our own supplier, to do the good dialogue, to engage about what is needed that it will become more circular, and how can I support it. And yeah, Nico, you said the big issue is the suppliers are because you are the client, and but I think circular economy is also about being some kind of partnership, partnering, that you look together to a problem and seek together to a solution. I think that's a new way.
Definitely, we do this. We changed our laundry company, and their process is much more environmentally friendly than the other one. We have the supplier of our uniforms collects the worn uniforms back, and we make furniture out of it. So that's very circular as well. So everywhere we try to, our food waste is we.
May I ask? I'm sorry,
no problem.
Nico, but that solution, how did you find it? Because that's interesting. I mean, I suppose it's not a solution that is yet ready, but that you go into a project together to.
No, but with every decision we are taking within Hotel Jakarta, we look at sustainability as well. So that's one of our, that's in our DNA. So that's what we do.
And your suppliers know that as well, right? So
our suppliers know that, and of course that's sometimes difficult. We are part of a chain, and of course you have advantages of buying in bulk at one supplier. But we have all our hotels have a green key, so we try to be sustainable. Of course, we are the most sustainable one amongst our hotels, and we are front runner in our group, and we ask that question all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so it's really about talking to your suppliers. Melle, you are a supplier for many hotels. How do you look at it, and what kind of conversations do you have with hotels?
The biggest issue in the industry is that everybody wants to be sustainable, but not a lot want to pay the price. Unfortunately, at this time, being more sustainable is costlier than any other product. We have some luck because we use 100% recycled fibers and we use toilet paper made out of bamboo. It's not only toilet paper, it's hygiene paper. And that bamboo is, especially now because the prices are growing in paper, everybody knows the price rates are going up in the industry. Paper is the new gold. So we're very lucky that we invested in bamboo paper, which is harvested in Africa. So in this part it's easier to have the discussion with the hotels that we are working with, but still 9 out of 10 times the biggest issue is price. But we work together with Bansum, for instance, and because we do a lot of hotels now, we could get the price down. So at this time, 9 out of 10 times we can offer the same price as they have now. But the second part is, as you just mentioned, you're part of a big chain. And big chains have price contracts, and they have very big contracts because at the end of the year they get a kickback fee or in any which way. And these contracts sometimes make it very difficult for smaller hotel chains or hotels that want to make a difference to actually make that difference in terms of sustainability because they still have to keep the contracts that they had. So that is for us the biggest issue, the biggest problem we have. But we see more and more chains that are willing to pay 1 cent more or break up contracts, or they force the supplier to work with us. Yeah. And that's actually a good thing, because I truly believe that from the hotel side, they should force their suppliers, as Nico mentioned as well, to become not only price driven, but sustainable driven. And I think that should be that can be the quickest win right now.
Yeah, I can imagine it's the full supply chain. Because also imagine that as a hotel, you're also part of being a supplier to your guests. I can imagine, and I know about businesses that actually, when they go to look for a conference or hotel rooms, they will also say it needs to be in a hotel that is, sustainable.
Yeah.
And Nico, do you already
we see that very often, especially individual travelers sometimes choose our hotel because of our sustainability. But companies who like to book booking meetings, they a lot of times they want to enroll their own sustainability policy, and they want to do it in a sustainable environment, and then they choose us, and that's very nice too. And then we have to explain the story of Hotel Jakarta as an inspiration, and people experience it, and that's very nice to experience that. At the end, we of course invested a lot more money than a conventional hotel. So but the return is there. So it helps.
It's also, of course, a business opportunity also for other hotels.
Yeah.
To say, okay, I'm going to focus more on that market,
Yeah.
but that means that you have to talk to the right suppliers
Yeah.
as well in what's coming in. And one of the things that I also heard yesterday is that companies are not only giving budgets to their staff for travel, but actually are also giving a CO2 budget. So staff members also actually think about, okay, how am I going to spend that money in
Yeah.
regards to sustainability, and that might be something also for hotels to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I think there's one very important stakeholders we didn't talk about yet, and I think that's the employees. So what kind of role do employees play in the whole sustainable change? And maybe I can start with you, Melle, because you also do things for employees as well, right?
The employees are our biggest ambassadors, so that's the most important thing. But we've seen a couple of things in the hotel industry. A lot of people who work in the hotel industry are very young. We have a lot of young people working in the hospitality industry, and these people are very creative. They're very into sustainability, but a lot of times we come into hotels where they aren't heard. And these people already use very cool creative brands that are very sustainable, and they already have a lot of ideas. So we actually did quite some sessions with hotels in which we incorporated their staff when we start talking about sustainability and how we could make small changes inside of their hotel with ideas they had. So for instance, they talked about different water, the bottles that was in the minibar, the soap they used because they had the soap at home. And these kind of things work really awesome, and for us there was a benefit in it because we were the implementer and the founder of those discussions in those hotels. We became the leader of their sustainability journey, and that became very awesome because in that way we worked, for instance, with a couple of big hotel chains, and we come there every 3 months. And every 3 months we have meetings with their staff from every department to talk about how sustainability and how it can grow in their hotels. And we do it from a commercial side because that's very beneficial for the hotel owner. From our side, we hope they keep on buying our toilet paper. And on the other side, we can make people light green because we're very focused on making everybody very dark green, as we call it. Everybody has to be very sustainable. but that's not going to happen in the next 10 years. If we can make everybody here light green and just think about the decisions you make, just think about the products you buy in the supermarket, then everybody becomes light green, and in the end we'll all be very, very dark green.
Okay, so I understand you're actually taking on a role of a change maker,
Yeah.
actually for your clients,
Yeah.
being for the employees and going towards the light
Yeah.
green, dark green, but
Yeah, yeah.
shades of green. Let's
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
So interesting that you as a supplier can have that role.
Yeah, sure. If they allow it.
If they allow it, obviously, yeah. Maybe Nico, you can also say some things about how your staff is included into that sustainability change.
Yeah, we encourage them and we support them to be as a light green. That's a nice saying, because everybody cannot be dark green. But we encourage them to go to travel by bicycle, to travel with public transport, to give ideas how to be more sustainable within the process they do themselves. And that's very nice for them too. You know, they can be themselves, they can develop themselves, they can make sure that we are even of getting more sustainable, and they are part of it.
And could I even make a link to the fact that at the moment we have a shortage of staff in hospitality? I think everybody knows that. Is there a link as well into the sustainable thinking and that way of getting the right people in and keeping them? Do you see any link there?
Yeah, how do you create a sustainable environment for your employees? Not only sustainable by having the right toilet paper, but sustainable that they stay with you and they retain, and then that you can hire new people because you're more attractive as an employer. Yeah, that's a big thing at the moment. You know, that's one of our biggest challenges, and we try to be an environment where people can be themselves, where they can develop themselves, where we inspire them, when we pay them a normal salary, where they have a work-life balance day according to their preference, and that's an ongoing process, and that's also about sustainability.
Yeah, it is, right? I mean, we can talk about sustainability in many ways, but also how you treat your staff
Yes.
is part of that sustainable thinking. Yeah, definitely, yeah. One more thing, Froukje Anne, maybe looking at the role that a local community plays or the municipality can play. I think it's quite special that the municipality of Amsterdam has somebody specifically for this role. What kind of experiences do you have with the hotels on this?
It's one of my things I gladly do. It's very thankful to work with the hotels. Very inspiring on both sides. I played a role as a facilitator. I bring the hotels who want to take steps on sustainability. I bring them together and we have the exchanging, the inspiring sessions, the discussions with suppliers. I don't need to do very much because the discussion and so it goes from out the hotel. So that's really nice. And I see it every time. Every time I organize a meeting, the nearly 80% of the hoteliers are present, so that's really nice. And we have now about 25 hoteliers. But what my challenge is then, is not only talking about what is possible now or next week, but also still all the time also thinking about what is possible next year or something. This still always do the right discussion, and then also related to what kind of solution, what kind of circular strategy is possible, which has the most impact. I think that's my added value, I suppose, to the front-runner group.
Yeah, and also maybe thinking of one of the stakeholders we didn't talk about, being the investors, the owners, management of hotels. Do you also talk to them about these points?
Rarely.
They often visit my hotel and they want a show round, and we do so many show rounds. We had a group of Lithuania yesterday, very much interested in wooden constructions like we have, and we explain them. And they stay overnight, so we explain them how sustainable we are. We explain how the process went with the requirement of the municipality, what we did to implement everything and what we have implemented. Together we inspire a lot of investors and a lot of hotel investors by showing them what we do during a show round. And the nice thing, they even pay for a show round. That's another revenue center for us.
Okay,
That's good.
well, interesting. Never thought about that, but yeah. But I can imagine that. There's a lot of information you have which you can share, and that's valuable. Because I think also many investors also take the ESG, environmental, social governance standards into account more and more with hotels as well. I don't know if you noticed that as well, Melle, because decisions on finding a more sustainable supplier don't always come from the staff, right? It comes from different levels. Do you notice any changes there?
Yeah, especially in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of changes because from our side, we also went higher up. Instead of going to the hotels itself, we looked at the owners, we looked at the change that were behind it, and we started doing presentations there and talking about the brand and the impact that we could make. So we see a big change there as well, and also in terms of new laws that are coming. The next couple of years, the lawmaking on council level, but also on national level, is going to change a lot in terms of recycling, in terms of reusing, in terms of, so there are a lot of normally laws are something that's going to put you behind, but in this case it's actually a very good thing because they're actually speeding up the process and what we should do. So I think it's a good thing, and it forces the big investors and the owners as well to make big changes and not only build for the beauty of it, but also because it's needed.
Yeah. So actually on all levels we see that change coming.
Yeah.
If you now also look into maybe some examples of where you really notice you're influencing people in that change in being more sustainable, would you have examples of that? Maybe Nico, the things that happen in your hotel, you say, okay, but this really makes the mind shift change of employees or guests or...
I want to give an example which didn't work.
Okay.
Maybe that's a good idea as well. We want to have a taxi boat on the River Aj. Most of you are maybe familiar with the hotel New Yorker in Rotterdam. They have taxi boats running everywhere. We wanted to do the same. Electrical, environmental friendly, so no taxis needed to go to Central Station anymore. The only requirement we had is that they were allowed to sail fast, you know, to go not, and you're only allowed to sail on a speed of 9 kilometers per hour on the River Aj, and then it takes you 20 minutes to go and we tried to convince the municipality to give us a permit to make that happen, but they didn't. They said no, it's impossible. So still taxis are running around
Yeah. Now I can imagine not everything works out, obviously, but it's good to have those ideas at least and have the conversation going as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, municipality has to play a lot of roles.
Sure.
Not only facilitating, but also setting the rules. And maybe I should do some promotion internally.
That allows us to have a taxi boat running. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting.
But it's nice that we, a lot of hoteliers come to visit us for inspiration, to look what we do. And of course, when you build a hotel, you build a hotel for 7 years, and then after 7 years or 10 years, you start renovating. And after that, they are trying to implement the same things as we are. And that's cost efficient, because it's the cost of ownership of the cost of building is maybe higher when you start, but the cost of ownership is lower. So that's also a trigger to convince owners and investors to be more sustainable. Yes, definitely.
Long term, it's a better investment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good bridge. I mean, then you talk about the total cost of ownership, right? From investment to use and own, and then the end of life. And I think that's really needed when you talk about circular economy, that you think on with that vision to the cost. So of course the price is essential, but in circular economy we have to think about circular business models and to look on a different way for that, and then everybody is involved, the investors, the users, and so on. So I have myself, I have, if she's standing there, she's a trainee who is now doing research on circular business models in the hospitality, just to know it better, so that we can change really from linear to
circular.
yes.
Yeah, and to share the knowledge that we
Right.
have. Yeah, exactly. So I'm also looking into the audience and to see if there's any questions you would like to ask. Go ahead. Just a sec. The microphone is coming your way.
Hi, I have two questions, one for Ajay and one for Nico. From a teaching perspective, what has changed on the sustainability front, and is that a regular part of curriculum, and what are new things that are being added to teach new, fresh hospitality professionals? That's my question to you. And to Nico, so I used to work in hotels as well and then moved into interior design from there. But one of the biggest challenges we face with clients is that they really, really want to be sustainable in every aspect possible, but their bottom line gets affected very significantly. And you've talked about cost and the long-term benefits of sustainability. But as a general manager of a hotel, what are some challenges you face on a day-to-day basis in terms of making difficult choices when it comes to operational costs and choosing one over the other?
Nico, go ahead first.
Actually, we don't.
Maybe you can repeat the question. I don't think many have heard it. No, not answer.
The question was what kind of difficulties we experience in making choices between when we make a sustainable choice with regards to cost. And we see this as a challenge, and we don't see this as a problem. That's the first thing. Sustainability is in our DNA, and our decision should always be a sustainable one. That's what we said to ourselves. And of course, we invested. We first wanted to invest. We had a budget of 43 million. We invested 50 million because of all the sustainability measures we took and we implemented in building. But we said, well, let's do this because we want to be different. We want to do this the right way and not half. So that's how we do it. And when you see it as a challenge and not as a problem, and of course, is return on investment is a driver, but we are still able to be successful with this in our DNA. We see that guests and of course locations plays a role too, but because we are what we are. The guests experience what they experience. And we see that in our competitive set. We have higher ADRs, we have higher occupancies, so that encourages us as well to be as sustainable as we are and to have that in our DNA and to take that decision with sustainability always in mind. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you. And then going into the question about how sustainability comes back in, let's say the curriculum, in this case I can talk for Hotelschool Hague, obviously, it's an integral part. So instead of saying, okay, we have a course on sustainability, it's spread out through all the courses. Because, for example, in a finance course, you do want to talk about ESG. And also ethics, for example, is in many elements an important role in the curriculum. I think so that's one way of getting it back. It's part of the learning goals for all students that they learn something on this field. And for Hotelschool Hague, what we do, we have minors which talk about the future of a certain field. So we have the future of food, for example, as a minor that students can choose. Obviously, if we talk about food in the future, sustainability plays a huge role into it. So in that regard, it comes back. And what you will find as well is that much of the research being done at the moment is also related to sustainability in broad forms, be it over-tourism as an element of sustainability as well, finding the right HR talent, for example, we talked about, those kind of things. It comes back in many parts. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes, Mike.
My name is Louis. I'm from Ambassade Hotel in Amsterdam. We are also part of the frontrunner group from Froukje Anne. I have a question for Nico. Actually, you mentioned something about ADR and demand of your hotel, and I really admire your hotel, by the way.
Thanks.
What my question is about, there is an increasing demand for sustainable stay. Well, is there? That's the first question. Second, in what way do you think you could actually track the demand of sustainable stays in your hotel, and how many people are actually looking for the sustainable part of it? Do you have any means of actually like measurability? I'm a marketing manager myself,
Yeah.
and I really wonder.
You would like to measure if people would come for sustainability.
Yeah.
We don't measure that now at the moment. That's one of our future plans to ask that question. But we don't want to bother our guests too much with our and you know, you don't want to say, oh, we are environmental friendly. We are we are such. They come to us because they want to have a wonderful experience. We see, you see that our biggest client in Amsterdam is Booking.com, and they are starting to mention something about sustainability on their website. You can choose hotels on an environmentally friendly basis. So that's getting more and more involved in the process of choosing a hotel. For individual travelers, we see it less, but I said before, meeting and events and groups, they are more involved in because they have their own sustainability policies to enroll, goals to reach, and for that reason they are more and more choosing our property instead of a property which is less sustainable. Did I answer your question?
Maybe I can add to it. We had this discussion yesterday as well. As hoteliers, you really look to the STR data, right, the ADRs, etc. But there's nothing measuring the sustainability factor of a hotel on that kind of level. So that would be something I think many hotels would be interested in, also to compare yourself as well to others and see how you're doing. So let's hope that comes one day. But yeah, it's making it more measurable, I think, is and insightful is one of the things that we need. On the other hand, you could also say, well, sustainability is kind of a hygiene factor, and it should be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also a way of looking at it.
Yeah, let's hope measuring is the start of that everybody becomes it.
Yeah.
Because if it becomes a tool, then it's only a right tool if it helps becoming it at the end.
Yeah.
We actually did a research about it, if I may add. We did a research with a couple of hotels in Amsterdam, Netherlands and Europe. And the hotels that did the best in terms of sustainability were the hotels that were the best in terms of storytelling about their sustainability. And that's what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Hotels that go like, "Pats, we're sustainable," they don't believe it. And we are actually a marketing company that sells toilet paper. So the thing is that it's all about the storytelling that you do in terms of sustainability. And if your guests believe that story, then it becomes inherent in their booking. And those hotels win over all the other hotels. And I think Jakarta is doing an awesome job in that stage, because they're not forcing it, but you feel it when you come in. Yeah. You see it on the website, you see it when you book it. And I truly believe that's the way how you should do it.
Yeah, really nice.
And we are very proud. We, you know, as a hotel, we have, and there are even there are hotels who have more, but we have 24,000 followers on Instagram, and that's because we are so Instagrammable. People like to take pictures from our beautiful inner garden, from from actually the view, everything, the interior of the room. So it's thank you very much, Melle. But we try to tell a story and
then the story tells itself towards the guest.
Yeah. True. A fun extra thing with my ad, we had actually a funny thing, because our rolls come in wrappers. We sell a lot more than toilet paper, but we have custom wrappers. So for instance, the Hard Rock Hotel, they made a very awesome wrapper around the toilet roll that was in every room in their hotel. And they actually called us up, the old manager. We have a big problem. I was like, why? The toilet paper gets stolen. Yeah. I was like, why is it a problem? That's no problem. People take it home. And it was actually true, because what happened, we saw on their page that the Hard Rock Hotel got tagged in people's toilets at home. So we actually saw a lot of people that put the Hard Rock Hotel, and now we see it with Blooming Hotel, we see it with Student Hotel, we see it with a lot of hotels. People take the toilet roll home. And that's two things. It's marketing for the hotel and for us, but the other thing is every time they go to the toilet, because they don't use it, they just set it there as a prop, and every time they go to the toilet, they think back at their stay. And it's a very fun way of marketing their stay and have interaction, because the QR code on there as well goes back to the time they were in the hotel. So it was a problem that we made into a fun thing.
Yeah,
Nice.
amazing, and you can do that with toilet paper, right? Yeah, it's, wow, amazing.
Everybody uses it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Almost everybody.
Almost.
And unfortunately, it's not 100% circular.
No.
Once you wiped it, it's done. You cannot reuse
But
it.
the story is great.
The story remains. Yeah, exactly. More questions. You're at the end, yeah.
This is a question, I suppose, for both Nico and Melle. You both said that you use QR codes as an educational measure. What percentage of your guests actually opt into your story by clicking on the QR codes?
Not much. I think only 5% at the moment. And we have placed them very obvious areas where people sit and relax and look at their phone and have nothing to do. But we try to encourage that. But we also think, well, when they're not interested, it's fine, you know.
In our case, we use it in a lot of ways. For instance, we just did a pilot with Crown Plaza. And Crown Plaza had they did it in certain rooms, and they did it in 100 rooms. And in those 100 rooms, it got used about 13 times, which was actually, because it's just a sign on the toilet. And we created something for the hospitality industry, which is called the Royal Flush. It's an online newspaper while you sit on the toilet. So you scan the QR code, and it actually shows you the news of the day. It shows you some marketing things that the hotels do, but it also shows the story of the hotel, the impact they make. And actually that we did in the student hotel, we did it at Bilderberg, and that was way higher, but it's very extensive because we do daily news. So but it's a very fun thing, and we're gonna broaden it now. And that got used a lot, almost 30%.
Okay, well, thank you. Interesting to hear. I thought there was a question there as well. One last one we'll take.
Yeah, I actually had a question for you, Nico. How do you encourage your guests to be more sustainable or to also be sustainable?
That's one of our biggest challenges at the moment, because we don't want to bother them. We don't want to tell them that we do it, of course, with our towels, with the materials we use. We explain to guests what we do, but we leave it to them if they want it, yes or no. And we think there is a challenge to involve them more. But it's also that's what we are actually looking at it at the moment, how we can involve them more without being pushy.
And I'm very, very curious if you use the good rule.
No.
Actually.
No, not yet.
Price versus sustainability.
No. We have sustainable toilet paper as well. But Melle's story is a beautiful one. So we are going to talk again. Promised.
Nice one, nice pitch. So I think we should round off now. So I'd like to thank all three of you. I think of some of the key takeaways. I think authenticity is important, the storytelling, the circularity, obviously, in doing it together, looking at all your stakeholders. And one of the things that I took away is that toilet paper can be sexy and a good marketing tool. But that's good to remember. Thank you very much.
Thank you.